Owains Soliloquy, a companion to Nightshade's story. He remembered her, always had, even when she barely spoke, even when she disappeared behind her hair or the mist of the hills. He saw her, Nightshade, though he never called her that aloud. He remembered the first time he heard someone say it. He laughed, thinking it was a nickname meant as a joke. But then he'd looked at her properly. Red hair like dusk fire, eyes like storm-soaked jet. And he realised it suited her perfectly. Nightshade was never loud, never the kind of girl who needed the room to look at her. But how he looked. More than he should have. She lived just beyond the edge of the woods, in the old witch's cottage, the one with the sagging roof and a garden that seemed to bloom even in frost. Her grandmother had lived there once, a woman of few words and fierce eyes. After she passed, Nightshade took the place over, like it had always been waiting for her. He saw her sometimes, in the market, fingers trailing over dried herbs, lips moving as if speaking to things no one else could hear. She never bought much, she never lingered, but she was always there, like weather, like a presence more than a person. And when he left the village, university, city life, big fast plans and faster mistakes, he forgot a lot of things, but not her, never her. He never told anyone that, not even when he came back years later, hollowed by loss and tired of chasing things that didn't matter. He came home, not for a reason, but out of instinct, like something inside him needed soil again, quiet, familiar skies. And there she was, still walking barefoot through the woods, still with that cat, the one that stared straight into you, still as quiet and unknowable as ever. He wanted to speak to her. He always had. How do you talk to someone who looks at the world like it's a dream she's only half inside of? It was chance, or maybe not, that brought him to her door. A fox cub, wounded on the side of the road after a storm. Hadn't thought, hadn't planned. He just ran, water in his boots, mud on his hands, and found himself at her gate. She opened the door as if she'd been expecting him. "You came to the right place," she said. Her voice was soft and steadied something in him. He watched her work in silence, hands sure, eyes gentle. No show, no fuss. Just magic like breath, like memory. He realised he'd missed that feeling, a quiet doing, of someone tending to the broken things without making a spectacle of healing. He told himself he came back for the fox. That was easier. But he didn't stop coming. Sometimes he brought things, a cracked pocket watch, a bird with a problem wing, an old book he thought she might like. Sometimes he brought nothing at all, just sat at the edge of her kitchen while Idris glared at him from a shelf. He never found the words though, Not the right ones, not the brave ones. And maybe that's why it never quite happened. Because by the time he'd realised how deep it went, how much of her had stitched itself into the softer corners of his soul, she had already let him go. He saw it in her eyes the last time he came. She smiled at him like she loved him, but not in a way that asked for anything. Later, when he walked with another, kind, sunny, safe, he wondered if Nightshade was watching, not out of pride, but out of something quieter, a hope, a guilt. He never stopped loving her, but loving her was always like trying to hold on to sunlight, warm and beautiful, but impossible to keep. Still, he thought of her often, when the wind carried rosemary and rain, when stars came out too early, when he passed her gate and saw a candle flickering behind the window. He wondered what might have happened if he'd said something, if he'd reached out, if he'd let himself be known. But he hadn't, and now it was too late. She never cast spells to bind him, he was sure of that. But something of her lingered in him all the same, a kindness left behind, a quiet charm. He hoped she was well. He hoped she still sat beneath the ash tree, whispering secrets to the sky. He hoped someone looked at her with the awe she deserved. And if not, if she remained in silence and solitude, he hoped that one day he might be able to let her know. He'd seen her. He always had.